Thailand is battling deadly floods at home and fast-moving geopolitics abroad. Joining us today is their Foreign Minister, Mr. Sihasak Phuangketkeow, to talk about the challenges at home, the India-Thailand relationship, and the big power play in Asia. Minister Phuangketkeow, welcome to First Post.
Glad to be here with you.
Yes, very good to have you. You're visiting India at a time where your country is going through a crisis. We've seen devastating floods, claiming more than 140 lives. What is the situation right now, and what is your assessment? Would you say that the worst is over?
Well, I think the worst is over. Now we're in the process of recovery. You know, it's not easy after you have severe flooding. So all of us are joining hands to promote a speedy recovery. Of course, the situation was unprecedented. We had, maybe because of climate change, the rainy season in Thailand usually in October. Now it's the start of December, and we're still having heavy rains, and I guess many things converged at that time, and it led to the severe flooding. And of course, it was a crisis, and all of us were in a crisis mode and trying to deal with the situation to the very best of our ability. And now, of course, the flood waters have receded. So we're trying to promote a rapid recovery.
Yeah, we wish you all the best for that. You mentioned climate change, and it's not just Thailand. There are many countries in South Asia and Southeast Asia which are dealing with similar situations. And we've just come out of another COP summit where not much progress was made, not the kind that the world expected. So for a country that is dealing with the consequences of climate change, what would you say to those who say that it's a hoax?
No, it's not a hoax, definitely. It's, we are facing the consequences of climate change already. We cannot deny that. The scientific evidence proves that. And so I think we need more political will. Very important. And not only that, we must recognize that not every country has the same capacity, right? So we need what I would say mutual support, mutual assistance, and a lot of financing to help countries which still lack capacity. But I'm afraid, countries that have to take the lead, or a country that has to take the lead, is not showing that the kind of commitment that is needed right now.
Indeed, and I think that'll be one of the points of convergence between India and Thailand. You're meeting Minister Jaishankar tomorrow. What's on top of the agenda, and what is your...
Well, many things. We have a strategic partnership, right? So as strategic partners, there are many issues that we can discuss, and we need to discuss, of course, the bilateral issues. I think there's a lot of room for us to work more in terms of our economic ties. We admire the success of India. India is economically very prosperous. And Thailand is also a key player, centrally located in ASEAN, a market of over 700 million people. So there's a lot of opportunities for us in terms of trade, investment. And also one area where we have to do more is where you have growing expertise and where you are at the cutting edge of science, technology, innovation. And here, in these areas, I think we can work towards a closer partnership, because your economy, the Thai economy is going through a period of transition. We cannot rely on the old industries anymore. We have to move towards a digital economy, a green economy. We have to move towards more innovation. And so I'd like to see us look at the opportunities in these areas.
Right, and interesting you mentioned that, because we've just seen the second quarter numbers come out, beating all expectations, at least here in India, 8.2, but the economic headwinds globally are very much there.
Yes, and importantly, Thailand relies on export We also rely on a lot of tourism, and we're very happy, to welcome more tourists from India. I think the figures are that there are about over 2 million Indians coming to Thailand to enjoy their holiday, to organize wedding parties in particular. So we hope that in areas of tourism we'll be able to welcome more tourists from India. At the same time, more Thais are coming to India, especially for the religious pilgrimage.
Right. Yeah, Thailand remains one of the top, one of the favorite destinations for Indians holidaying outside. The bilateral relationship has expanded significantly over the past few years, and bilateral trade has almost doubled in the last 10 years. What is the next frontier of this relationship and cooperation?
Well, as I mentioned, we have a strategic partnership. Strategic partnership means that we go beyond our bilateral ties. We work to promote peace and stability in our region. We also work on global challenges as well. And there are a number of areas where we can work together, going beyond our bilateral relations. First, we should connect our two regions, South and Southeast Asia. And in terms of connecting our two regions, we have BIMSTEC, the BIMSTEC framework, which is a regional cooperation between South and Southeast Asia. India and Thailand must play a pivotal role in strengthening BIMSTEC. India is very much involved in the development of the Mekong sub-region, which is an area with a lot of potential for growth, but still need a lot of development cooperation. And India has this framework called the Mekong Ganga cooperation. So we look forward to working with India in the Mekong sub-region. And of course, the relation between India and ASEAN. India is a very important partner, increasingly important partner of ASEAN. India has your Act East policy, and ASEAN the ASEAN countries are a very important partner in terms of the Indo-Pacific region, and we share a common future in Indo-Pacific. Another area where we can work together is maritime security. We want to ensure that the sea lanes connecting the Indian and Pacific Oceans, which is vital sea lanes for commerce and also strategically important, remain free and open and secure. So these are areas where we can work together beyond our bilateral relations to promote peace and stability in the region. And as you said, there are also global challenges like climate change, where we have to do much, much more. But another pressing issue right now that all of us are feeling the impact is the issue of cybercrime, especially the scam operations that are now existing along Thailand's border with Myanmar, with Cambodia. And we have many Indians who we just rescued, who had fled these centers. They were either working knowingly. I think many of them were lured into working for these syndicates. And so Thailand is going to organize an international conference, a ministerial level conference on the 17th of December to focus on the scourge of cybercrime, especially these scam centers that are in the region. But the impact is beyond the region. We have people from everywhere coming forcibly or voluntarily to work in these centers. And people as far as the United States and Europe, have been deceived by these operators, and many of them have lost virtually their life saving. So we have to come together, and at this international conference that Thailand is organizing, we think it's going to be very important for all of us to first demonstrate political will, second, mobilize international cooperation, Third, consolidate the cooperation that we have already and make them even stronger.
And it does affect the whole world, but especially India and Thailand, because both these countries share a border with Myanmar, where these scam centers are booming. Are the two countries then working together on some sort of a joint framework to combat this menace?
Well, we are already working we have a security task force that looks into all these issues. We're working in terms of information sharing, intelligence sharing, and also in terms of cooperation in cracking down on these operations. But it's when you deal with this kind of problem, which has a regional, global dimension, it's not just the two of us. We really have to work together regionally and globally.
India is looking to position itself as a defense supplier of Southeast Asia, and countries like the Philippines are buying the BrahMos missile. We understand Indonesia is interested. What about Thailand? Would you be looking to buying weapons from India?
Yes, not just weapons from India, but also looking at working together in terms of developing defense cooperation, defense industries. I think I think this is where we can cooperate, for mutual benefit, in terms of helping us to be able to have our own capacity to produce certain weapons, certain munitions.
So joint production more than acquisition is what you're talking about?
Well, of course, we're looking for weapons that meet our needs. At the same time, we're also looking at working in terms of cooperation in defense industries.
And is that coming up in the conversations on this visit?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
There will be many issues. I want to talk about Myanmar, the situation in Myanmar, which is of concern to our two countries. We share the same goal. We want to see a Myanmar that's peaceful, stable, and unified. And I think we right now we're doing what we can to try to promote peace and peaceful dialogue in Myanmar. But they're going to have elections very soon in December.
Which you've said won't be free or fair.
Well, I've said that it won't be a perfect election, because to have a perfect election, you need an inclusive process. It has to be inclusive. But we recognize the reality also. Sometimes we have to work on the basis of reality. First, they're going to have the elections. We like it to be as free and as fair as possible. But then we also recognize that the election is not the end game. Election is probably not an end in itself. We hope that the government in Ecuador, after the election, would continue with promoting dialogue, promoting reconciliation, because I think that's the basis for lasting peace. Now, so what we hope is that the election will be part of a broader peace process that will continue so that all the parties concerned can work out their differences, can find a pathway towards a common future. Because in the end, we want to see lasting peace, and lasting peace can only come through dialogue and reconciliation.
Right. Elections may not be the end game, but elections also, if they're not free and fair, they would give a veneer of credibility and legitimacy to what would otherwise not be a legitimate government. And we're seeing that on the western side of our border, where it's effectively a military-run state. So when you say that Myanmar is going into an election, that may not be a perfect election, as you put it. And I understand that ASEAN countries tend to not interfere in each other's internal matters. Is there an urge to sort of put some pressure on the junta and to ensure that as far as possible it's a free process?
Well, it's our hope. It's our hope, to see that elections lead to peace, stability, and unity. It's our hope. And so I think it's a decision that the leadership in Naypyidaw has to make. We are friends, friends with Myanmar. We have to live with Myanmar. We want to see Myanmar at peace, stable. And so whatever we say that as friends, And so we hope that, that we cannot stop them from having the election.
That sounds a bit defeatist, right? It sounds
No,
like
it's
hope
not,
is our strategy.
No, not a defeat, because they will have election, but we will continue, urging them, to encouraging them to move towards a path of dialogue and reconciliation. And we will do whatever we can to facilitate dialogue and reconciliation. It's not being defeatist. No, it's just being realistic, and we're not giving up on our efforts. But in the end, it's up to the Myanmar parties concerned to really work together. This peace process, if it's going to anywhere, it's going to lead to lasting peace. It has to be a process that the Myanmar parties themselves take the lead, take ownership.